So you know a lot about skeletal muscles now. You know how they function, how they how they were formed. So now we're looking at the fascicular arrangement. More anatomy of the muscle. This is more microscopic anatomy. So last time we made a chart for you of differences in skeletal muscle by physiology. Now we're going to take a look at the anatomical differences between skeletal muscle. So we said a fascicle is a bundle of muscle fibers. So the very simplest way of showing this, if all the muscle fibers went in the same direction, we call this type the parallel fascicular arrangement. An example of these muscle is the sartorius. The sartorius muscle. And of course the common name for this is the talar muscle. So this muscle is the one that allows your leg to twist or cross. And in the old days, as of course in the Roman days, most tailors like to cross their legs. So sartorius comes from a Latin word for tailor. Like the tailor, not this tailor of course, like the tailor that fixes your clothes. So you can have parallel this way, and you can have the two ends meet, giving you a circular pattern. Example of this one, the orbicularis oris. Orbicularis oris is your common name, it's found in your mouth area, around your lips. We should have put that in the function too. So this is your crossing of leg. This one makes you pucker. So when you're offering a kiss, you are puckering your mouth. This allows you to pucker. So in other words, when the orbicularis oris is relaxed, then your lips it's flat. Of course, the orbicularis oculi, which is found in the eyes, makes your eyes completely close. So this is the reason why when you die, what happens to your mouth? The mouth does not close, and therefore people needed a way of closing the mouth in the past. So this is the reason why if you ever look at an old picture of dead people, they always had, or ghost of old, in the olden days, they would have a ribbon and around their head, and they tied it above their head. And this is the reason why you'll see a lot of ghosts in the old movies that have this little fabric that will close your head, and they tied it over your head. And also when a person dies, what happens to their eyes? It opens up, because when it contracts, it will make your mouth close or pucker, and when it contracts, it will also keep your eyes closed if this is the oculi, not the oris. So how else can you make this pattern appear? You can make this pattern come to a point. So one side is left alone and the other side has been squeezed. You call these muscles a convergent muscle. And it's a good example of this one is the pectoralis major, which is your breast or chest muscle, the one that most people who work out always likes to work these things out. What does it do? It brings your arms inwards. So what else can happen? If you can have a pinching of one end, you can have a pinching of the opposite end. So in other words, the fiber tracts will do this. So this is called a fusiform. The fusiform is another well-known muscle. It's called the biceps brachii. So this is your common term we use, the same term. It's called the biceps, or some people like to call it the guns. And it is there to fold or flex your arm. So this is a variation of this parallel fiber tract. The next three is all about from a stem. So in other words, this is your tendon, and from the tendon the fibers come off to the side. So it forms this kind of a structure. So this reminded of early anatomists of a quill. So how do you say quill in Latin? It's the word pennate. Hence the reason why you get the word pen, because the original pen was a feather. So in other words, the pennate refers to the feather. So if you only have one of these, it's called the unipennated muscle. An example of this one would be the extensor digitorum longus. The common word for this one is just the abbreviation of it, the EDO muscle, and it spreads your toes. So if you can have one feather, you can have a double feather system. So in other words, you have your quill in the middle, your spine in the middle, and then you have one quill on this side, and then you have another quill on the opposite side. So this will be a bipennated muscle. A bipennate muscle is best recognized by the rectus femoris. So femoris, you already know, it means thigh. Rectus means straight. So a polygon with lots of straight angle is called a rectangle, because rect means straight in Latin. So rectus femoris is found in your thigh, and is commonly part of the quadriceps. What does it do? This one extends your leg. So this is the rectus femoris is one of the four muscles of your upper thigh, or your thigh muscle, and it's the one that is straight, that goes straight down the bone called the femur. So then if you have bipennate, then you can have more spines, which means you can have a feather here, another feather here, another feather here, another feather there. So this is what's called the multi-pennated muscle, best known as the deltoids. This is, of course, known better as the shoulder muscle. What does the shoulder muscle do? One of its functions is to lift the arm. So each of these fascicles basically means that you have a fascicle or a muscle fiber in this direction. So when it relaxes, it goes in that direction. When it contracts, it goes in this direction. So in other words, a parallel muscle can only have one directional contraction. When you have a circular muscle, it's going to make this hole even smaller. Or when the circular muscle relaxes, the hole in the center will be opened up. A convergent muscle stabilizes in one bone here and then will pull, in this case, the arm closer to the midline. Fusiform does the same thing in both ends, but it'll be a single point to a point. So in other words, it's going to bring your ulna closer to your scapula in that manner. And so all of these things are just basically showing you how the muscle fibers are going to be a single directional pull. So each of these fibers pulls on this major tendon here, and this tendon attached to your toes 2 to 5, and they will make them all spread apart. Okay, so that's what these fascicular arrangements are all about, and this is the 7 fascicular arrangements found in your body.